get it. It deals with the issue of overcrowding. So just going to give a little bit of a backstory quickly. It's a 1-bedroom unit. The owner, who is also a trustee, had a baby. They were then notified of an overcrowding issue in 2020 when their child was 6 months old. They were then presented with the conduct rules, which clearly states that it is 2 people in a 1-bedroom unit. The trustees then came to an agreement to give the owner an additional 2 years from 2020 to rectify the overcrowding issue. She was not in agreement with this arrangement. Now, then there's a whole, she quoted a Paddocks article, sent it to the managing agents and trustees, basically quoting that overcrowding is due to sanitary inconveniences and parking and the width of the stairs and things like that. And she argued that her 6-month-old son is not imposing on any of these things. And then the question that Louise has is, if the trustees allow the overcrowding to go on, there will be no leg to stand on for future owners that may have extra people staying with them and thus also causing overcrowding. How do the trustees now go about enforcing the overcrowding rule when a child is an extra body, as is in this case?
So I know that Nicole Tavares likes to be in the background when it comes to this type of thing, but this is her speciality right here. Now, when I was, Nicole and I both were at Paddocks, I once received a request from trustees to write a stern legal letter to a couple that were overcrowding. And the way that it was explained to me is that this third person had come to live there and they were causing all sorts of nuisances. And I was still a very young, naive attorney. So I wrote this letter and I got a response from one of the occupiers to say, do you know who this third party is? It's a baby, a newborn baby. Now, this was before I had my own newborn baby. So I thought, oh, well, it's definitely overcrowding because a newborn baby, I can imagine, is a horrible nuisance. I can attest my 9-month-old still doesn't walk or cause any type of, definitely sanitary inconvenience, most certainly, but is not walking up and down any stairs, causing a nuisance from a noise perspective, most certainly. But, I don't think it's right to say that a 6-month-old baby is the party that is overcrowding. That being said, I'm going to answer from a Cape Town perspective because it's in terms of municipal bylaws and all of your municipal bylaws will be different. But in Cape Town, it used to be per sanitary convenience. So in other words, per sewerage outlet. So if you had 2 bathrooms, it would be 9 people per sewerage outlet. So an apartment with 2 bathrooms would then be able to cater 18 people. Then it was amended to speak about a habitable space, bearing in mind that anything other than a bathroom or a kitchen can be converted to a habitable space. But in terms of the table in the regulations to the City of Cape Town environmental bylaws relating to overcrowding, it speaks about different types of dwellings. And when it comes to a sectional title scheme or a multi-dwelling building, it is 2 persons per bedroom, and a person is defined as being 10 and over, so 10 years old and over, bearing in mind, and Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, that a 10-year-old or anybody below 10 is considered to be half a person. So then they would be overcrowding by a half a person. But one has to look at what is actually the effect on the body corporates. If they're using more water, install water meters. If they're using more electricity, install electricity meters. If the 6-month-old is pressing the buttons to the elevator too many times, you control that type of conduct. You have to be, and again, Tony, I'll steal it, pragmatic when you apply these types of provisions. I would definitely not agree that a 6-month-old is overcrowding. Nicole?
Sorry, Zerlinda, just to jump in there, the legislation, especially in the Cape Town legislation, is very sneaky, and it says and or. If it was or, it's very easy. You can have 2 adults, or if it was and 2 children under the age of 10 per bedroom. Very simple. But because it says and or, it becomes a gray area. So especially with the kids being under the age of 10 is half a person. So you would always be allowed 2 children to 1 adult. But instead of, or shall the children stay by themselves? So that's where it becomes a little bit tricky.
Yeah,
especially in Cape Town.
Very good question, Annette. I'm sure you guys have seen that question relatively often because it comes from your offices. And one really has to look at, you know, how long is the person living there? Are they really causing, you know, an additional resource on the body corporates? And interestingly, the Community Scheme Ombud Service a couple of years ago handed down a CSOS adjudication order where they allowed the body corporate to raise additional contributions if the body corporate could prove that there were additional pressure points on the body corporates when it came to overcrowding. I mean, if you're looking at 10 people living in a one-bedroom apartment, you most certainly have to do something about it. But if it's a young couple with a baby, maybe even 2 babies, you know, can't control these things, I don't think you need to put them out on the street.